Alrighty, traders, let's jump into our daily market recap and trade recap for today. It is Thursday, October 19th, 2023. Let's dive into the markets. Let me share my screen. We'll get rolling here. Pretty wild day in the market. We started off, and let's take a look at SPY here on the session. So you can see initially on the day, we gapped down, or I don't know, gapped down. We were actually up a tad, I'm sorry. Rose on the session and then just fell throughout the entire afternoon to the lows of the session. If you take a look at this longer term weekly chart here, this uptrend line that we've been up, bounced off of, we're back to bouncing on it again. So we've actually touched this line a couple of times recently. So really we're right on the uptrend line. So we're teetering on the end of this uptrend line or this bullish uptrend that we've been on. So right on the edge of that. The market, all this was on the weekly so far here, even though we've had a series of lower lows and lower highs, it's just been a pullback within the overarching uptrend. But that uptrend line is about to be broken potentially to the downside. Now we are in this channel. To the downside, MACD, RSI falling. Weekly does not look good. Pretty bearish outlook on the weekly. PSAR is bearish. If we take a look at the daily here, MACD has been rolling over for 2 days, 2 pretty good sized down days. Today, PSAR reversal signal on SPY, MACD and RSI both falling. RSI breaking the 50 and just heading lower. So we remain in this downtrending channel, but we are, again, like I said, we're right at this uptrend line, which is the weekly, and we're just ahead of the 200-day moving average after we broke through the 21 EMA yesterday. So ugly looking charts right now. I would expect potentially if we get some follow through here, we're going to be breaking that longer term weekly trend line, and that weekly trend line extends all the way back to October of last year when it started at this bottom, and we've been in an uptrend since then, but that's all really hinging and potentially about to close here. Now, I'm not saying that the markets are, they're done, stick a fork in them or any of that kind of stuff, but okay, this uptrending channel on the weekly about to be over if we crash or at least drop below there. And then this little downtrend that we've been in that started on the weekly as well on the daily, not looking too good. So there's SPY. If we take a look at the Qs real quick, we are in really this bull flag consolidation piece. Still, the uptrend line is intact decently, although I think if you want to draw some lines on this thing, we broke through it to the sideways on the Qs. So I'll take that back. It's really not intact. We've moved through it and moved out of that uptrend. We've been moving into this flag pattern. Break to the upside means we could run a bit more. However, you've just been in this descending wedge pattern on the daily, and that's just getting tighter and tighter here, and you're falling a bit farther below the 21 and the 50. Now it doesn't look as hideous or as bad potentially as the S&P, but you've got RSI falling. MACD's been kind of holding in on the weekly, but on the daily, just everything falling. So again, downward looking movements. It's not as big of a downtrend channel as SPY has, a little bit more sideways, but not looking fantastic there. If we take a look at IWM, this continues to just be an ugly looking chart, and there's not a whole lot of anything positive that you can take out of this thing. It's heading down towards the bottom of this channel. It did break through this longer term uptrend, so we'll take that even off the screen. We're now heading back down to lows that we were at back in March of this year, and just looking ugly. So MACD, RSI falling lower, and if you take a look at the daily here on the chart, yeah, just in this downtrend series of this lower lows, lower highs, well below the 21, well below the 50, bottom of the Bollinger Band here, MACD rolling over, RSI heading lower. Nothing good on IWM either. not seeing a whole lot of anything that I like. If we look at the percentage of stocks in the S&P that are above their 50-day moving average, that dropped again back down to now 20%. So we're getting into some, I don't know if I would say oversold readings, but we're certainly getting to the bottom on this MACD RSI moving down on this. So this overall, it's a bearish move. We're not oversold yet, but if we start to get extended to some of these levels that we've seen previously back here, then I think it's something that you're going to have to pay attention to for, do we get any kind of a bounce, and is that bounce sustained? If you look at the put to call ratio as well, backed off of yesterday. So we did back off on the session, which is unusual for this to be down. Moving averages, though, are moving back up. So we are moving, again, slowly into an really an overdone level on the put call ratio, which is frankly a little bit bullish, but we're not at extremes on this at all. VIX jumped up 21, highest VIX has been since all the way back here in May, on May 1st of this year. So highest in 5 months on the VIX. Volatility on the move. VIX, a dead indicator, actually on the move again as well. So we'll keep an eye on where VIX goes, or VX, either one. Both of those definitely moving higher as the volatility has just been picking up in the market. VIX at the top of this trend line here. We'll see if VIX can get overextended. But if you look at the 3 ATR, we got to jump all the way up to the mid-20s for VIX to really get to some sort of an extreme, temporarily short-term reading. But in the longer term, we're still in a downtrend, and VIX is still well off of its highs on the weekly channel here. If you look at the dollar today, I had this little yellow box that we were doing for some charting earlier on the session. It backed off. So you've been in this consolidation range here, even though this weekly strong channel to the upside, we kind of moved sideways out of it. Not a big breakdown, just a sideways consolidation. We remain strongly in this value area, and we're strongly inside value. While we're in there, MACD and RSI might be starting to flip over on the weekly, and on the daily, you've got RSI heading lower. So some definite things to keep an eye on here, but the dollar sideways range in a value area, we're going to look for a breakout of this value, either back into the channel or below this support line here. Can't really tell you which way I'm thinking, but you're holding the 21 EMA. So if we break down to the downside, it's really good for Forex positions, and a weak dollar can have some benefits in the market as well. Looking at TLT, we were in a bit of a sideways range as well, even though it was a bunch of gaps down, and just another horrific day on TLT, TMF, if you're in those things. I told you to stay out. I hope you listened to me. Just a terrible looking chart on this. You got this downtrending wedge. We're actually breaking to the downside out of the bottom of this wedge. So really, rates took a big hit today, not looking too healthy. There's just no buying of TLT at all in here, which means if you're taking a look at the 10-year yields, rising higher, again, setting a new recent high today at what I believe today was 49.96. So almost the 5% range. So we're right there. We're just a fraction away from 5. I don't know what's going to happen if we hit 5. We're close to the 3 ATR, but we're not there, which means rates could continue to go. And if you're looking at RSI and MACD on the daily, those things got ways to go. They are not really in any kind of an oversold or an overbought territory. So there could be more upside to go on rates, which is going to drive bonds even lower here. All right, so there's the kind of the bad news. Let's get into some of the other news. If we take a look at 60, the euro, sideways consolidation in this range as the dollar's sideways. Also, the euro's been moving sideways and improving a bit on RSI and MACD. So our strangle in here is in fantastic shape. It's been dropping for a bit. We've been in this for 37 days, dating all the way back in here as the markets have dropped, but just moving sideways. Perfect for our strangle on Euro futures. We're up 15% in that in 37 days. That looks good. Oil, though, geez, oil looking pretty nasty to the upside here. Another big day. MACD and RSI have been pushing higher. No surprise. We've been in this value area here, this balance area that we've been up and down and up and down. We broke out of this range today. So breaking out of this kind of this balance area in here to the upside today. So oil making a 2% move, but what exacerbated that even more was that oil volatility cranked up almost 3% on the day. So oil volatility running high. You got a 3% increase in oil volatility on top of an already 2% increase in oil stocks. Not good if you have strangles on in oil. We do have a couple oil strangles. We are getting tight on one of them. The other one's in okay shape. But then we also have naked puts in oil. One's already almost at 50% in 7 days. The other one's at 20% in 1 day. And we've got 112s up about 37% on one, and another one's up 60%. So strangles are getting tested a bit. 112s in our naked puts. I just keep adding naked puts on oil. So let's take a look at gold here. So I switched the charts. You probably wouldn't know it because gold's in the same mode as oil. This thing is cranking and it is on fire. So gold breaking out of its downtrend channel yesterday and then confirming this move today, heading well over the 3 ATR. So I would expect maybe some pullback in gold potentially to head our way. Our strangles are fine in gold right now. We've got one that's down, maybe like a 1x down. We got one flat and one that's down just 25%, a couple $100. So nothing big here. But one thing in oil is, despite this 1% increase today, look at this oil volatility move today. Up 11, I think it was up at one point, almost 14%. We are up almost 12% today in volatility on gold. So this gold volatility is just spiking. And right now the IVR in gold on the Tasty Trade platform is 74. So pretty high IVR. I've seen it go to 90, so we'll keep an eye on it here. I think it's a beautiful time to be selling strangles in oil and gold here. You're getting paid for premium if you're a premium seller. You could even be doing, and I have been doing, some naked puts as well. I think those are all paying off a bit. We'll keep an eye on how it's going. But gold, it's all about volatility. We've already talked about bonds here heading to lows. We'll see what happens. We are not oversold on bonds yet. We are on the weekly, but we are not on the daily. So the daily is still heading down. The weeklies are heading down. There's more downside coming in bonds. So stay tuned on that. Let's take a look at the sectors today. Everything was red sorry about that. Everything red on these sectors. Let's look at the net changes here. You've got this descending wedge on semiconductors. It's still within the wedge, taking a big hit today, down another decent amount, 4.6%. Look at that MACD and RSI just going down, down, down. Semiconductors not looking good at all. You saw AMD actually somewhat positive on the session, but you also saw NVIDIA dropping just a fraction. But Taiwan Semiconductor released earnings today, and they were not good. So semi is taking a pretty good hit. XLY also taking a decent little hit in here. So if we're looking at the XLY here, your consumer discretionaries, big hit down on the session today. Even though Amazon was up, it was driven by Tesla dropping 9% on the session. So we're down 2.5%. on XLY, followed right behind by real estate, just getting creamed, down another 2.5% today. So real estate getting hit. Biotech, the XBI getting hit 2%. and then you've got retail, you've got pharma, you've got financials all heading lower. A lot of ugly looking stuff out there. Regional banks heading lower. The least damaged sector was communications, which is your Google and your Meta. Now, Meta was down 1% today. Google was flat on the session. This thing really hung in there decently today. So overall, communication stocks hanging in there pretty well on it. Still above their 21-day moving average, which you can't say about much of anything. Energy just getting swept up in some of the selling today, but it was pretty much flat. Oil pretty much flat on the session. And then tech stocks down only about 0.57. Even though the Qs were down 1, tech stocks themselves down about 0.6%. So you're in this descending wedge pattern that you've got here. We'll keep an eye on this. Right now, it's just a move inside the wedge. MACD, RSI falling. I expect it to fall further. Let's see where we go before we start to find any kind of footing on this. But red day on all of the sectors, and then watching individual stocks. Amazon, pretty much nothing today. It had risen up decently early on, sold off, closed towards its lows at the end of the day. Apple dropping a bit, was up, sold off, end of the day, finished towards the lows. Microsoft finishing towards the lows of the day. However, Microsoft was up. So it did move up on the session, higher day today. Microsoft still looked decent in here heading into earnings. Meta down another 1.3% on the session here, but holding above the 21, but taking us out of our butterfly trade. So that might be the end of that trade. No great loss on that one, but defined risk on the butterfly. Google pretty much unchanged. Nvidia pretty much unchanged, despite word of coming out on Taiwan Semiconductor. Not much happened there. Tesla, big story of the day. Missed earnings last night. Not a good conference call with Elon on there. It had already begun to break through this triangle pattern, and then it just gapped down. However, it gapped down and slammed right into this previous pivot level, which is now acting as support. It was support once before back in August, support right now. Let's see if we hold here. We got to let this play out for at least 3 or 4 days. Maybe the rest of next week. We'll see what happens. Any kind of a bounce here would be very suspect to me. I'm not going to play any kind of a dead cat bounce. If we go lower from here, then I think it starts to get very interesting. How much lower can we go? Well, the 200 moving average is at 214. We are only 6 points away from that. And we were down today 23 points. So we could easily hit that or exceed that tomorrow. Not a good sign, not a good look for Tesla. The uptrend has been broken on the weekly for sure. And now we are in a downtrend, a bearish trend here. And we are from 300 down to about 218 here. So way more than a 20% correction. Definitely a bear trend on Tesla. And we have a lot of work to do to repair this bearish trend. We'll see if we break this support that we're sitting on here, which has held up well a couple times already at 216. You got some problems because I don't see a lot of other things to stop this. Maybe 206, which is your 200 moving average on there, but I think 200 is your next area. 206 is again the 200-day moving average on the weekly. We'll see what happens. There's not a lot of areas to call Tesla to stop at here. All right, and then Netflix had a bonanza of a day. Great earnings last night. Had broken through this, the downtrend here, the channel, and then just rocketed up today, closing up 55 points on the session. Fantastic day for Netflix, as it still maintains its longer-term uptrend. Even though breaking it a bit here, it's back into it. We'll see what happens. This channel was temporarily pierced, look below, and now we bounced back up. We'll see where Netflix goes from here. Does it consolidate? Does it keep moving higher? Lots of opportunities. And then AMD. AMD still an interesting play. We broke out of the wedge. we're coming back down to test the wedge, and we have not gotten any worse on it. So MACD and RSI are falling, which is not a good sign that momentum is moving to the downside on this. We haven't seen a slowdown of the momentum, but the weekly momentum is actually not bad, and you're holding above this area here. I think if we get any kind of a bounce, AMD might be something to keep an eye on, despite what's going on with the semiconductors as a whole. And then let's just jump into Bitcoin. Bitcoin did have a huge day, broke out, came down, bounced off of its previous level that I had identified here, and is now moving its way back higher. So Bitcoin having a decent up day today. Is Bitcoin somewhat of a flight to safety or quality? That's kind of funny to say, but it's very possible that that's what we're seeing. All right, let's look into the account today. There's good, bad, and ugly on this thing. Deltas, 319, which is 0.11. That's a good spot. So I like the fact that deltas are still very, very low. Despite this move lower, we're in decent shape on deltas. Theta, another good here, 1848 in theta, giant theta, 0.65%, probably the highest theta we've had all year. Fantastic theta. We're getting good decay. The bad, NetLick dropped significantly today on this move, so we dropped down 282. So NetLick dropped. We didn't close anything for a loss, but NetLick did drop on the session. And then BP did rise on this. So this is kind of a intermediate term, not great, not terrible. BP bopped up a bit today. Volatility on oil, volatility on gold, VIX moving higher, BP up at 75. Not the worst thing in the world, considering where volatility is. Now, we did close some positive trades today, so we took in another 3,400. We're now up 3,668, and I did not record one of the trades from the session today. So we're actually up a little bit more on the day. I'll probably update that. We'll look at it tomorrow. But $3,400 to the good on the day. No losses booked at all. It's just some drop in NetLick, but doing well overall. And what are we looking at? Let me green these out. So this was yesterday's trades. All pretty much zero DTE yesterday, plus the naked put. Now, today, what did we do? We made some significant adjustments. And one thing I'm missing, and if you want to hang in there with me, let's just do it live here. I'm going to post a trade that I did on the session today. We might as well update it and get the right stuff in here. So we'll get the update going live. So we did put on a put credit spread this morning. So we did a put credit spread in SPX. We put it on right at 11:30. So we did this at 11:30. This put credit spread was the 42.45, 42.20 spread. We took in 50 cents for that. We did 10 contracts. So 29,500 was the margin, and we closed it 16 minutes later for a 50% winner. So we took in $250 on that trade. So there's a winner today as well on that trade. So actually overall, 36.50 was our gain. So I might as well just add it. 36.50 is our gain on the day today. So almost $4,000, up 1.3%, a little bit past the halfway mark in the month. So what did we do? Let's just talk about those. I just did talk about the zero DTE put credit spread, keeps our win rate going on zero DTE. We also rolled the long puts in a long-term 112 down. So one of the adjustments we make on there, I won't give you the specifics on that. But we went through it with the members today, exactly how to adjust and trap some of the trap profit that we've already got. So we did roll our long put down. We took in on that trade, on that particular roll, we took in $12.50 on that roll. So we made $1,250 because I've got two contracts. We made $1,250 on rolling the long put down, and we still have a PDS running on there. So we still have more trap to potentially get if the markets continue to stay here or drop further. We've got more money to make on just the PDS alone. So again, rolling this put was the long put part of the PDS that we rolled down. That's one of our adjustments that we do to lock in trades. Okay. The other thing we did today is we closed out a naked put on another long-term 112. So on a separate trade, we closed out the naked puts. We locked in a 92%, so about 95% winner on the naked put. We locked in 92% total premium capture on the trade. So we now have a free put debit spread on this long-term 112. We took in 2,150. Again, we have 2 of these every month. We're closing, so we've taken about $4,200, $4,300 every single month on these. And then on top of that, if we get some trap profit like we did today, we added another 1,250 to it. So we're really rocking and rolling here, and we've got more of these coming off. So some great stuff to take a look at there. All right, so there's where we are on the account today. Net lick dropped, but we booked some nice profit today, booking over $3,000 in profit on a down day in the market where things are getting tested. And what I wanted to do is I want to point one more thing out. So let's jump back in to, I'm going to bounce around on a couple of things for you here. Okay. I want to take a look at TSLY because I think you guys know I do not like this whatever. So I've done a couple of videos on TSLY. If you look in the archives here on YouTube, I've done it. I've let you do your own thing, but I've shown that TSLY is just not working out well. And let's take a look at it today. So far off of its highs from 18 down to 11 and change. Okay. So this thing has dropped from the highs at least 8 points. Okay. It's dropped almost 50%. So if you bought in anywhere in here, you are down massively. And if you bought in anywhere previously, you are down. Okay. There is no TSLY holder that isn't down. Okay. Because this is about as low as it's been. Okay, dating back all the way to December of last year. And for many of you, you're up in the average on this thing is 15 to 16. It's at 11 now. Okay, it's going down, folks. Tesla's struggling. Tesla may have further to fall. This is the downside of this. Oh, but I'm getting money out of this. Are you really? Okay, how much are you down on your shares, despite your dividend, which some was somewhat delayed, which is a little suspect. To me, everybody I think got it, okay, but it's a little sketchy on what's going on. And let's take a quick look at the distribution details, okay? And again, all of you TSLY, hawks are going to be understanding what I'm saying. All the TSLY doves out there that think is the greatest thing ever are going to want to dispute what I'm telling you here. But you're down. I don't care who you are or where you bought it. You are down on TSLY right now, and you're down anywhere from probably 1 to 2 to 8 points. You could be down more. Okay, you could be down close to 9 points down. Okay, if you're down 5 points, let's take a look at TSLY. Okay, here's the distribution right now on TSLY. You're getting 50 cents, 57 cents, 58 cents on TSLY is what you just got. Well, if you're down 5 points, it's going to take you 10 months to recoup that using the distribution. Hopefully Tesla stock itself moves back up or moves where you are. But right now, your distribution isn't saving you. The payable date was on the 16th, which is technically today, or technically a couple of days ago. There where we dropped 50 cents on the day, but now you've had, when it closed on the 16th, that close was at 13.68, and it's at 11.94 today. So you've lost another 1.5, 2 points on TSLY. Okay, if depending on how the stock goes, and it should continue to keep dropping, because every time it gives a distribution, it continues to drop. Okay, by the value of the distribution, plus you're dropping by the value of Tesla dropping, it's going to take you months. Okay, many of you are potentially underwater. Some of you are ahead with your distributions if you've been in long enough. But if you got in anywhere above probably 15 on this thing, you're significantly down. Okay, And if you've only been in this since about 15 points or so, my guess is you've only been in this for maybe 4 or 5 months. Okay, you're dead break even, so you really haven't made anything now in 5 months, but your money is in here. Anyway, I just wanted to jump into that, something to take a look at on TSLY. Otherwise, we keep making some money, even though the market's dropping, even though our net lick is taking a little bit of a hit right now. We are cranking out profit, another 36.50 today, 39.18 on the month, and things are looking ugly out there. We're still cranking out profits. We got more coming. If you like this video, please click that like button. Could really use your help. Please subscribe if you haven't. Tell everybody about this. If you think this is helpful to you, we'd love to have you. And come check us out in the Discord. Great session today. We've been doing our sessions the last couple of days, really helping members make some money on these trades today. We're doing well. Our members are avoiding some of the stuff that's happening out there, getting caught up a little bit in the oil and gold. Okay, but overall, doing fantastic. Come and join us in our Discord. You can see the links to that in the description down below. All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you later. Please stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next session. Bye-bye.